resources to carry out President Trump's border agenda. We've already seen border crossings plummet in response to President Trump's border security measures. Criminal, illegal immigrants have been arrested and deported from cities around the country. But to continue these efforts and maintain a secure border will require additional resources, and we're determined to deliver them. We're also working to address the fentanyl crisis by passing the HALT Fentanyl Act. The HALT Fentanyl Act will permanently classify fentanyl-related substances as Schedule I drugs. We'll provide law enforcement with a critical tool to go after the people who are bringing this poison into our country and killing Americans. And I expect that we'll pass this bill soon. Mr. President, Senate Republicans are also working to eliminate some of the Biden administration's burdensome regulations. As part of our promise to unleash American energy, we passed Senator Hovind's resolution to block the Biden natural gas tax, and we also passed Senator Kennedy's resolution overturning a rule that would have stifled energy development in America's waters. To promote financial freedom, we passed resolutions from Senators Ricketts and Cruz to protect America's financial privacy. And there will be more regulatory relief to come. Mr. President, it's been a busy couple of months, and we've gotten a lot done. And we could have done even more if Democrats hadn't repeatedly chosen to use the filibuster. That's right. A few short months ago, when Democrats were in the majority, they were making plans to destroy the filibuster. Now they've been in the minority for 10 weeks. They've already used the filibuster 3 times. And what are the bills that they blocked? Well, first, there was the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, a bill that simply requires doctors to give a baby born alive after a failed abortion the same medical care that any other baby would receive. Then there was the ICC sanctions bill, which would have supported our ally Israel and protected American service members abroad. And then just last week, every Democrat joined a filibuster against Senator Tuberville's bill to keep biological men out of women's and girls' sports. And now, Democrats are threatening yet a 4th filibuster, this time to shut down the federal government tomorrow. I have to say, it's funny how Democrats' opposition to the filibuster changes with the prevailing winds. Mr. President, I promised last year that 2025 would be a busy year. And these past 10 weeks are just the beginning. Republicans are working to deliver for the American people, and we are just getting started. Mr. President, I yield the floor. And I don't yield the floor. Mr. President, I understand that there are 2 bills at the desk due for second readings.
The clerk will read the title of the bill for the second time.
S1008, a bill to provide equitable treatment for the people of the Village Corporation established for the native village of Saxman, Alaska, and for other purposes. H.R. 1156, an act to amend the CARES Act to extend the statute of limitation for fraud under certain unemployment programs and for other purposes.
Mr. President, in order to place these bills on the calendar under the provisions of Rule 14, I would object to further proceeding en bloc.
Objection is heard.
Mr. President, I move to proceed to executive session to consider calendar number 41.
The question is on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes appear to have it. Ayes do have it. The motion is agreed to. The clerk will report the nomination.
Nomination, Department of State, Christopher Landau of Maryland to be Deputy Secretary.
Mr. President, I send a cloture motion to the desk.
The clerk will report.
Motion to invoke cloture. We, the undersigned senators, in accordance with the provisions of Rule 22 of the Standing Rules of the Senate, do hereby move to bring to a close debate on the nomination of Christopher Landau of Maryland to be Deputy Secretary of State. Signed.
Mr. President, I ask consent the reading of the names be waived.
Without objection. Under the previous order, the Senate resumes consideration of the following nominations, which the clerk will report.
Federal House Housing Finance Agency William Pulte of Florida to be director.
Democrat leader.
In a quorum. Mr. President, yesterday it was reported that Elon Musk and Doge have been pressuring the Social Security Administration to cut phone services that millions of Americans rely on to help with their benefits, to help get their benefits on Social Security. Doge knows all their claims of massive fraud within Social Security are nonsense. So what do? They're trying to cut telephone services that help the elderly and disabled people get their benefits. How cruel. How mean. Why? So some billionaires can get another tax break? This is appalling. What Doge is doing to Social Security is not government efficiency. It's cruelty. Cruelty. It's a direct attack on some of our most vulnerable people, seniors and the disabled. Social Security support lines are vital for seniors who struggle to get out of the house. Many seniors don't have the ability to drive themselves to an in-person local office, many of which are closing. And if they can visit an office in person, guess what? Doge is working on closing the local offices too. It's almost as if cruelty is the point for Doge, Elon Musk. Elon Musk and Doge are trying to drive Social Security into the ground to make it so dysfunctional they can scream about fraud and justify cutting benefits. And for what? Giving billionaires another tax break. Remember what Elon Musk said a few days ago? Most of the federal government spending is entitlements, so that's the big one to eliminate. Imagine the cruelty of the richest man in the world who's trying to sell his Teslas on the White House lawn, telling tens of millions of seniors that he wants to eliminate their benefits, that their checks are part of one big scam. Elon Musk is utterly clueless about what it means to rely on that $1,100 check that seniors need for their food or their medicines. He has no empathy, and that lack of empathy will create immense suffering for people who aren't as fortunate as he's been. That's why Doge has already pushed to close Social Security offices. They're getting ready to fire 7,000 Social Security employees, and this is just the beginning. If Doge keeps going, people could see their benefits disappear. And my Republican colleagues, are my Republican colleagues fine with these attacks against Social Security? Do they support closing Social Security offices? Do they agree with Elon Musk that Social Security is a scam? Why are they silent as Elon Musk and Doge try to take Social Security apart? I yield the floor. Note the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsobrooks.
President.
Majority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask unanimous consent that the quorum call be vitiated.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I come to the floor. The minority leader has just spoken on the floor of the United States Senate, and I would like to begin today's comments by quoting the senator from New York. Here's a quote. Senator Schumer says, "Shutting down the government over a policy difference is self-defeating." He went on to say, "It accomplishes nothing but pain and suffering for the country, and it incurs an enormous political cost to the party shutting it down." When did he say those things? Well, he said them in 2019. Well, they are as true today as they were then. Apparently, he has forgotten those things. He's forgotten the enormous suffering to the country that is caused and the political cost to the party shutting it down. So who would be the party shutting down the government if we shut down at midnight tomorrow night? Well, according to this morning's, and as I say, Mr. President, and you know this, I come to the floor often with a newspaper article, today's Washington Post, Democrats prepare to reject a bill to avert a shutdown. It's the Democrats who would be shutting down the government. Now, that's the Washington Post, clearly someone that so often sides with the Democrats. What about the liberal New York Times? What are they saying this morning? Specter of shutdown is growing as Democrats resist funding. They resist funding the government. It is the Democrats who are doing this. And then there's a picture of Senator Schumer in today's Wall Street Journal. So we've seen the Washington Post, the New York Times, and now the Wall Street Journal. Schumer signals block of funding bill. Let me go back. It accomplishes nothing, he said in 2019, but pain and suffering for the country. That's what the Democrats want, the American people to suffer now, pain and suffering, because they don't want to fund the government. They want to shut it down. As he said, it incurs enormous political cost to the party shutting it down, and that cost should be imposed upon the party shutting it down, and the party shutting it down are the Democrats in the United States Senate. In less than 48 hours, government funding expires, and Senator Schumer and his party are on the verge of shutting down the government of the United States. The deadline is looming. The Democrats now face a crucial choice. Pass the bill that has already passed the House of Representatives, fund the government, or shut it down. There is no magical third option for the Democrats or for the country. We are on the brink of, once again, a Democrat shutdown of government. Why? Because they refuse to accept that President Trump and the Republicans won the election. They hate the fact. Heard a lot of talk about how we got here. Let me set the record straight, because this shutdown has been driven and directed by the Democrats. You remember, Mr. President, last year when the Democrats were in the majority, Senator Schumer was the majority leader. Joe Biden was in the White House, president. And last year, the Senate Appropriations Committee, chaired by a Democrat, passed 11 of 12 appropriations bills. Look, I'm so grateful for the work of Senator Susan Collins of Maine, vice chairman of that committee, worked hard and led Republican efforts to get each of those bills done on time through the committee, and they produced results. Each of the bills passed the committee, bipartisan appropriations bills, strong bipartisan support, some unanimous, and these bills were all passed last summer. From the time they passed the final one of those bills, and let me just point out, Mr. Chairman, I have the list of them. July 11th, they passed military constructions, Veterans Affairs, agriculture, food, legislative branch. Unanimous, 27-0 in each of those passed the committee. July 25th, Commerce, Science, Justice and Science passed. Interior passed, 28-1. State and Foreign Ops passed, and Transportation. And then on August 1st, Energy and Water Development, 28-0. Defense, 28-0. Labor, Health and Human Services, Education, Financial Services, all of them passed the Appropriations Committee. Done, passed. Senator Schumer had 224 days to bring up any one of those bills on the Senate floor. He absolutely categorically refused to bring a single appropriation bill to the floor of the United States Senate leader, even though the bills came out unanimously, and one of his own members. She said, take them to the floor. He appropriations bills that came